Hey, I'm Jay from Livid Instruments, and I'm here with the godfather of Controllerism, Matt Moldover. Welcome.
Hey. Thanks, Jay.
Moldover's brought his awesome instruments here, and I've known you for about 10 years, maybe?
I think so, yeah.
Something like that. How did you first start getting into Controllerism?
I think it was mostly inspired by playing with Ableton Live in its early days and realizing how awesome and accessible software instruments could be, and then discovering, like, oh, there's not as many controllers to manipulate them. So started hacking and making them.
Cool. So I think the first time I saw you was at a handmade music event in New York, and you had this, I think it was an Oxygen 8, maybe?
I think it was an Innovation keyboard I hacked up.
Yeah.
The Frank controller.
Yeah. Was that your first one?
Yeah. Well, I had a regular... Yeah, that was the first one I hacked up. Before that, I was just playing conventional controllers. But, yeah, that was my first, like, axe, if you will.
Your first controller?
Yeah.
Cool.
And you had the Viditar there, right?
Yeah, the Viditar, which is right up there on the wall, or one of them. That was what I was playing at the time. I don't even think Livid had started yet, but we were both hacking away stuff. And here we are, still doing the same thing. So, can you show us what you brought here? The Mojo?
Yeah. Well, the Mojo's been around for a little while now, but this was kind of based on all the hacking I did to those keyboards, and this was a collaboration between us. You guys helped me with the wooden bodies here, and inside is the Livid brain.
The first brain, yeah.
But this is the ultra custom arcade button laden, touch strip rich Mojo.
So this is their first real controller.
Yeah, first made from scratch, like
so
totally custom.
Not modded. This is the first time you decide. So what made you decide, like, okay, that's what I want? Because it's a big leap to go, okay, this is the layout. Because once you make it, there's a lot of work that goes involved. You can't really change it. So was this like the first design, or were there many designs?
There was one prototype before this, but this was the leap was made because I went back to playing guitar. I was playing guitar and switching to controller, and the first few shows I did like that, it just dawned on me like how not unprofessional, but this thing is plastic, and it's not designed as well as this awesome custom guitar that I have. Not this one, but a previous guitar. I just realized that the controller paled in comparison to an instrument like a guitar, and then just traveling more and playing more gigs on the road, it was just putting it in and out of cases and things breaking and the fact that I couldn't really repair it, and
sure.
Yeah, started falling apart.
So when you first started hacking away at stuff, there wasn't a big DIY market for controllerism. So a lot has changed, or has it? I mean, what's the difference now between when you started and what's available now?
Well, there's a lot more available now. Like, I used to try and encourage people and teach people how to build controllers and how to hack controllers and do all that DIY stuff because they wanted to know and they wanted to imitate the kind of thing I was doing. But at this point, it's not necessary. I mean, I only did it because there was no opportunity to get people to help me, or people doing it for me or helping me. And Livid's a great example of a lot of the things you've done have facilitated these kind of projects, like releasing the brain as a product. Thinking about the DIY community and making that available, and also growing that with the Builder Series products and all that. I always point people towards that stuff. It's like, here's a place you go to first, rather than trying to source all these components from all these different shops and get your own custom panels and cases, and like having resources like that helps a lot. And also just the controllers that are made, Livid being another example of a company that's making, trying to make instruments for performing professionals, and something that's a step above the, totally mass manufactured, cheap as possible kind of instrument. These are just way better options than starting from scratch.
Yeah, I mean, most companies have to make cheap as possible because a lot of people want cheap as possible. But I think there's a growing number of people that don't want cheap as possible and want customization. And the DIY ethic, work ethic is the only way to be able to get something like this. So doing it yourself. I mean, what goes into this. I mean, just the labor that goes into building one of these things. There's a lot, right?
Yeah, it's intense labor, but it's labor of love.
Yeah, sure. All right, so this thing I saw in a video you shot somewhere, right?
Yeah, well, this whole rig we have here, I've been touring with in about the last year, and trying out prototypes on the road is part of what I'm doing. Also, prototype music, but this is like a prototype of a microphone controller. I'm doing vocals in all my songs now, so I just wanted a way to, I'm not the greatest vocalist, but I'm pretty good with buttons and I'm pretty good with effects. So this is a way to get buttons closer to my voice. So it's like a clip-on situation. So the idea was, this is like maybe the third prototype. If you can clip this on the mic, you clip it on the mic stand, figure out where these things go. It's my favorite sort of ergonomic configuration of buttons, laid out to fit your hand, and it's just big and beefy. And also orienting like this, the audience can obviously see like, oh, he's doing something with the mic. So
so you're playing it like that, so it's upside down.
Yeah, like that.
Cool. Yeah,
That's kind of where you.
So it's in the end of your mic, just as the mic's
just
in the stand.
Like this.
So it's for mic stand usage. But you can handheld it too, yeah. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying both. That's what's cool about this generation of it, and figuring out.
Yeah, there's been a lot of I love your designs because they're personal, but they're also like obvious. Like I could see how I would use this.
Yeah,
you know, like it's not like I look at it and I'm like, well, what the heck is that thing? Like there's a lot of, especially when it comes to that, I've never seen something quite like that, because a lot of times when a singer wants to do something, they'll put like the stuff, and then it becomes this weird one-man band gimmick thing.
Yeah, I've heard that suggested from other people, actually. I was talking to Tom Reynolds in New York, and he was like, I want to wear it on my arm, wherever, and I haven't really tried that. I might try that. I haven't done that, but then, I think there's the danger of, like, I've got the Nintendo Power Glove.
Yeah. There's kind of a gimmick about it. If it becomes, a main part of your set.
Yeah.
Henry Strange has that gun, the MIDI gun.
Yeah.
And that's great, but it's like, it's supposed to be that. It's supposed to be a gimmick, It's cool.
Yeah, no, but I think this has the potential to be a real instrument. I have a lot of vocalists I've shown it to are like, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Where is the solution for that?
It's simple, and it just works, right?
Yeah, and having it on the mic, it makes a lot of sense. Like, just talking to a band yesterday, and they're like, I hate being stuck behind the table when I want to play my Chaos pad. I want something I can, just go out there and do what I normally do with easy access to
Make
that
it transparent,
stuff. Yeah. So
cool. So you're touring now with this, and before we sat down, you told me that you're touring with your album before you release your album.
Yeah,
which is cool. So what's that like?
It's awesome. It's like really humbling. I mean, the idea was like to go back to my roots, which is writing songs and playing in bands. Mm-hmm. I'm not playing in bands, but I'm writing songs with just acoustic guitar and voice, and then I make loops. That would be like the band, but programming bass and drums and other synths and stuff, and then setting that up on the Mojo, so I can basically trigger all the sections of the song and bring parts in and out. So basically I can arrange the song live with that. Mm-hmm. I do the vocals and the vocal effects live with this, and now I got the robocaster to do live guitar effects and crazy new stuff with that. So
yeah, the robocaster. So let's get to that now, because I saw this at NAMM, and I played it, and I immediately wanted it. And I haven't wanted a guitar since I was like 15. So that was a ton of fun to play. Tell us about it.
This is definitely another labor of love. This is the custom production model. I've been playing a prototype for the last year. So if you saw videos of me prior to this one, you might have seen this very metal, aluminum, covered in stickers. Very hacked up kind of thing, but this is the production model. So it's based on the ergonomics of guitar playing. Like, I've been playing guitar a lot longer than controller, and I just wanted to come up with these ways to integrate existing guitar techniques into manipulating the controls. So this is what I use for volume, and it's right here, where you naturally strum. So whether you're using a pick or using your thumb or whatever, like that's a natural extension of that. So that could be volume or whatever you assign it to. It's all just a MIDI controller built in. But the same thing here, the way I use these buttons is to control a pitch shifter. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the most fun things, because pitch shifter controlled by buttons it's a really cool kind of unique sound that nobody's really exploited with guitar before. And a little bit of programming in the firmware of this thing, and it does the same button. Basically, you can play one note on one guitar string. Mm-hmm. You press here and you press here. You only hear the highest note. So programming that same thing into the pitch shifter, like if you know how to play a guitar, like intuitively, whether it's hammer-ons or two-hand tapping or whatever, like this works exactly the same way.
Yeah.
And so you just playing arpeggios like instantly with it. And then this is, where your whammy bar would be. So it's all based on guitar gestures, that you already kind of know from playing guitar.
And
having that as an extension to control effects is just awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's it's a real guitar experience, but you get that controller aspect to it, which is people have used keytards like that in the past, but it's kind of lame.
Yeah, I think that's the keyboardist trying to, I don't know, imitate. Whenever you use technology to imitate an existing technology, I'm like, that's not quite as cool. But if it like augments it, takes it someplace new, I find that really interesting. And it's got accelerometers, I should imagine.
Yeah,
people love that.
Yes.
So if your guitar technique involves like, that gesture could be.
If you spin it around,
you
haven't tried that yet.
I need the ZZ Top adapter.
Yeah, right. Cool. So I guess one of the things that you probably experienced when I first met you, you were doing a lot of Ableton Live stuff, and you were playing samples, and you had different controllers and techniques. But I've seen you play with the Mojo, and I've seen you play guitar. And what do you think about the idea of DJs that don't create their own music but mix music but use controllers versus someone like you who's using controllers heavily, but you're also playing the stuff and you also play a lot of instruments. So there's a lot of people that think that the controllers and things for people that can't play music.
Yeah.
So what do you say to that?
I don't know. I think it's kind of all good. I've tried to take a backseat in what is controllerism and defining that. My goal with like putting that word out there and working to legitimize it was just to get more people into it. That was really the only goal, was like, let me share this excitement that I have with anyone else who wants it. And the majority of the people were like the DJ community who wanted to take DJing further, because there's a lot of limitations on the instruments that DJs have traditionally used, and like I just found synergy there. But in doing all this, it's just me exploring what I do, and whatever word you use to describe, what you do. Like, I think playing with these new instruments and these new technologies is the true like current art form. And whether it's your band is playing covers of electronic music, or you're a DJ manipulating pre-recorded music but like mashing it up and doing live stuff, or you're the guitar player in your band and you want to just do some crazy stuff that guitar players haven't done before, it's all interesting territory, and I just want to encourage more people to explore it and support it.
Yeah, it's the new jazz.
Yeah,
for sure.
Whatever. This music is now. This music is relevant. And what I really love is that the response from things like this guitar has been super, super positive, and I feel this strong shift of like, yes, we want live performance, because I've seen this culture grow in like the last 6 years, you know, and your company grow, and my stature as an artist grow, and I think that's all awesome. All awesome, but the problem is like we're kind of like insiders on all this, and we know all these artists and other companies, and we know what's going on, but there's a vast like public out there who listens to music and like listens to these artists, and a lot of them aren't quite aware of the difference between like last generation might have been lip syncing artists who aren't actually singing live. And I think the current generation of that is like some DJs who there really isn't much live to the set. It's like a press play kind of thing, and it's about laser light shows and whatnot.
I mean that word DJ is kind of just should kind of be eliminated, because it doesn't really mean anything these days.
It's getting less and less cool, and that's why I think people are like, oh yeah, I'll be a controllerist. Being a DJ is easy. I
mean, it's the same kind of thing, because you're one person doing this and you're manipulating stuff, but not all DJs do that. It's kind of odd. I always dislike the word DJ. Especially for kind of the stuff you're doing. You're just a musician who just happens to be using stuff that some DJs use. So it's interesting how it's changing like this. This is definitely a good place to be with all this. So what's next? What's next with this? Can people buy it?
People can buy this guitar. Visionary Instruments is the guitar maker I collaborated with to make this. So it's like going to be a limited edition artist model at this point. But yeah, Visionary Instruments is a place to check this out if you're interested in that. There's going to be more development on these instruments. I've already got a bunch of ideas to develop this. This is not where I want it to be. But mostly I'm going to be focusing on my album. I'm doing a crowdfunding campaign. It's going to launch very soon to support this new album. All this music I've been working on intensely and recording and producing and recording, whatever you call those are all fuzzy terms now too. Like,
producer.
but making an album, a release of some kind that, you know, takes all the songs I've been developing on these awesome instruments and, catalyzes it for the world to enjoy more easily.
So more of the same for you, making new products, playing music?
Yeah, and collaborating with fabulous companies like Livid to do more of the same.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thanks for coming in today, and we'll see you guys next time.